In June 2024, a team of archaeologists working in the Empty Quarter, which is honestly one of the most desolate deserts on Earth, made a discovery that fundamentally changes our understanding of ancient trade. They found a city, a massive trading hub, in the middle of nowhere. And what they found there proves that the ancient world was connected by trade networks so sophisticated, so extensive, that they make modern supply chains look, well, pretty simple. This discovery got maybe 3 news articles, just a couple hundred views on the research announcement. Mainstream media completely ignored it. But what they found in that desert, it rewrites the entire history of global trade. Let me show you why this matters. The site is called Qaryat al-Fāw. It's in southern Saudi Arabia, in a region that's now just complete desert. Nothing but sand for hundreds of miles in every direction. No water, no vegetation, no reason for anyone to be there. But 2,000 years ago, this place was a major city. We're talking about a settlement that covered over 10 square kilometers, with a population estimated at 20,000 to 30,000 people. That's not a village, that's a metropolis. And it wasn't just residential. The 2024 excavations uncovered massive warehouse complexes, specialized workshops, administrative buildings, and what appears to be a customs house for processing trade goods. This was a purpose-built trading center, an ancient version of a modern logistics hub. But here's what makes this discovery so significant. The archaeologists found goods from everywhere: Roman glassware from the Mediterranean, Chinese silk, spices from India, frankincense from Yemen, copper from Oman, precious stones from Afghanistan, pottery from Egypt, Syria, and Mesopotamia. These goods came from places thousands of miles apart, from civilizations that supposedly had minimal contact with each other, all concentrated in one location, in the middle of a desert. What the team realized is that they'd found a crucial node in a trade network that connected the Roman Empire, Han Dynasty China, and everything in between. A network that was way more sophisticated than anyone thought possible for the ancient world. And the crazy part? We knew this city existed. It's been mentioned in ancient texts for decades. We just didn't understand what we were looking at until now. Let's talk about context. Because this discovery only makes sense if you understand the trade route it was part of. Everyone knows about the Silk Road, right? The famous trade route connecting China to the Mediterranean through Central Asia. What most people don't know is that there was another route just as important, just as extensive, maybe even more profitable: the Incense Route. This route ran through the Arabian Peninsula, carrying frankincense and myrrh from southern Arabia to markets in the Mediterranean, Egypt, and Mesopotamia. Now, you might be thinking, incense? That's what this was all about? Scented smoke? But in the ancient world, frankincense was more valuable than gold. Literally, ounce for ounce, frankincense traded at higher prices than gold in Roman markets. Why? Because it was essential for religious ceremonies across multiple cultures. Romans burned it in temples. Egyptians used it in mummification. The Bible mentions frankincense constantly. It was one of the gifts brought to Jesus by the Magi, remember? And it only grew in one place: southern Arabia and the Horn of Africa. If you wanted frankincense anywhere else in the world, it had to be transported across one of the harshest deserts on Earth. That's where Qaryat al-Fāw comes in. The city sits at a crucial junction point. Caravans coming north from the frankincense-producing regions of Yemen would stop here to rest, resupply, and transfer goods to other merchants heading in different directions. From here, trade routes branched out, west toward Mecca and the Red Sea ports, north toward Petra and the Mediterranean, east toward the Persian Gulf and connections to India, and northeast toward Mesopotamia and the Silk Road. It was a hub, an interchange, an ancient version of a FedEx distribution center. But the 2024 excavations revealed something scholars didn't expect. The scale of the warehousing capacity is massive, way bigger than what would be needed just for frankincense trade. They found specialized storage areas for different types of goods, temperature-controlled rooms for perishables, secure vaults for precious items, massive granaries. This wasn't just a stop on the Incense Route. This was a major redistribution point for goods moving between multiple trade networks. Silk from China, coming down the Silk Road, would transfer here to caravans heading to Rome. Spices from India, arriving by sea to Gulf ports, would be sorted here and sent north. Roman manufactured goods would flow through here, heading east. What we're looking at is evidence of a genuinely global trade network operating 2,000 years ago. And until 2024, we had no idea it was this sophisticated. Let me show you specifically what makes this discovery so significant. Because it's not just that trade was happening, it's how it was happening. First, the infrastructure. Remember, this is in a desert, no natural water sources nearby. The archaeologists found an incredibly sophisticated water management system, underground cisterns that could store millions of liters of water, aqueducts bringing water from distant wells, filtration systems to keep the water clean. The engineering involved rivals Roman aqueducts. These people solved desert logistics problems that modern engineers still struggle with. Second, standardization. The excavation uncovered standardized weights and measures from multiple different cultures, all being used in the same marketplace. Roman weights, Persian measures, Indian standards, Chinese units. You know what that means? International trade agreements, conversion systems, agreed upon standards for commerce between civilizations thousands of miles apart. This is the ancient equivalent of agreeing on shipping container sizes so cargo can transfer between different transportation systems. That level of coordination across different empires, that's sophisticated. Third, and this is the one that really blew my mind, evidence of financial instruments. They found what appears to be an ancient banking house, a place where merchants could deposit funds and receive credit notes that could be redeemed at other trading centers. Letters of credit. In the 1st century AD, inscriptions reference transactions where a merchant in Qaryat al-Fāw could receive goods on credit, with payment guaranteed by a trading house in a different city, hundreds of miles away. That's not barter. That's not simple exchange. That's sophisticated finance requiring trusted intermediaries, record-keeping systems, legal frameworks, and communication networks. This is banking. International banking, 2,000 years ago. Fourth, quality control and customs systems. Multiple artifacts bear inspection marks, seals indicating goods had been examined and certified by official inspectors, different seals for different types of goods, official stamps indicating origin, marks showing payment of tariffs. The building they identified as a customs house had areas for inspection, valuation, tax collection, and record keeping. This is evidence of organized government control over trade. Standardized taxation, import and export regulations. And here's what all of this adds up to: a truly international trading system with standardized measures, financial instruments, quality controls, legal frameworks, and infrastructure spanning thousands of miles. This isn't simple traders exchanging goods at a market. This is a complex economic system that required cooperation between multiple empires, agreed upon standards, and sophisticated logistics. Ancient globalization. Now let's talk about some specific items found at the site. Because, individual artifacts tell us stories about how this network actually functioned. Researchers found fragments of Chinese silk in a sealed storage container. Chemical analysis and weaving patterns confirm its authentic Han Dynasty production, dated to around 100 to 200 AD. That silk traveled over 4,000 miles from China to reach this desert city. But here's the interesting part. The dyes used on the silk? They're not Chinese dyes. They're made from plants native to India. So we're looking at Chinese silk that was dyed in India, then shipped to Arabia, and was probably destined for Roman markets. That's 3 different civilizations involved in producing and transporting a single luxury item. Multiple pieces of Roman glassware, distinctive styles that can only be from specific workshops in Syria and Egypt during the 1st and 2nd centuries AD. But chemical analysis of residue inside the vessels shows they contain substances native to East Africa, probably perfume oils or medicinal compounds. So Roman containers, African contents, found in Arabia, probably headed to Persian or Indian markets. Ancient global supply chains. In one of the temperature-controlled storage rooms, they found sealed containers with preserved remains of black pepper, native to southern India. The quantity suggests this wasn't personal use. This was commercial-scale spice trading. Roman sources tell us that pepper was fantastically expensive in Rome, partly because it had to travel so far to get there. This site was one of the stops on that journey. Worked ivory pieces showing African elephant characteristics, but carved in styles consistent with Persian artistic traditions. African ivory, Persian craftsmanship, Arabian marketplace, and of course, massive quantities of frankincense in different grades and qualities. What's fascinating is the sophisticated grading system, different quality levels marked with different symbols, different prices, different destinations. The highest quality frankincense, pure white resin with no impurities, was worth its weight in silver and was reserved for temple use in Rome and Egypt. Lower grades went to different markets for different uses. Every single one of these artifacts tells the same story. This was a complex, multinational trading system with specialized knowledge, quality standards, and sophisticated logistics. Okay, so why does any of this matter? Why should we care about ancient trade routes? I think there are several reasons this discovery is significant. For a long time, there was an assumption that ancient economies were simple, local, disconnected. The Roman Empire traded within its borders, China traded within its sphere, India did its own thing. This discovery proves that assumption is completely wrong. The ancient world had genuinely global trade. Not just occasional contact, but sustained, systematic, organized international commerce on a massive scale. These weren't just lucky merchants stumbling into foreign markets. This was a sophisticated system with established routes, permanent infrastructure, legal frameworks, financial instruments, and quality standards. That's honestly closer to modern globalization than to what we imagined ancient trade looked like. Second implication, this explains a lot about cultural exchange in the ancient world. Archaeologists have found artistic influences that just didn't make sense. Roman motifs in Chinese art, Indian religious concepts in the Mediterranean, Persian architectural elements in East Africa. Trade routes weren't just moving goods, they were moving ideas, art, technology, religion, and culture. The spread of Buddhism from India to China follows trade routes. The adoption of new crops across different regions follows trade routes. Artistic styles flow along these same paths. Understanding the sophistication of these trade networks helps us understand how cultural exchange actually happened. It wasn't mysterious, it wasn't mystical. It was merchants, travelers, and traders carrying ideas along with their cargo. Third, and this is a theme we keep coming back to on this channel, it forces us to recognize that ancient people were way more capable than we give them credit for. We tend to think of supply chain management and international finance as modern innovations. But ancient traders were solving the same problems: how to move goods across thousands of miles, how to ensure quality and prevent fraud, how to finance large-scale transactions, and how to coordinate between different political systems. And they developed solutions that worked for centuries. The Incense Route operated profitably for over 1,000 years. That's honestly longer than most modern corporations have existed. Fourth, this discovery has implications for understanding climate change. Qaryat al-Fāw is now in an uninhabitable desert. But 2,000 years ago, it supported a city of 30,000 people. That means the climate was different. Wetter, more vegetation, different rainfall patterns. Analysis of the site helps researchers reconstruct ancient climate conditions in Arabia, which helps us understand long-term climate patterns, which in turn informs climate modeling. Ancient trade routes become climate science data. So here's the question. Why didn't this get more coverage? A major archaeological discovery that rewrites ancient history, and it got maybe 3 news articles. Most people have never heard of it. Why? I think there are a few reasons. Media loves archaeology stories when they're sensational. Undiscovered tombs, ancient curses, lost treasures, mysterious artifacts. Sophisticated trading network with standardized weights and financial instruments doesn't make for sexy headlines. It's important, it's significant, but it's not mysterious or dramatic, so it doesn't get coverage. Modern news operates in sound bites. A story needs to be explainable in one sentence. Archaeologists find ancient city in Saudi Arabia. Okay, that's the sentence. But the significance requires understanding ancient trade networks, economic systems, multiple interconnected civilizations, and sophisticated logistics. That doesn't fit in a 30-second news segment, so editors skip it. Also, and this is unfortunate, archaeological discoveries in Saudi Arabia and the broader Middle East often get less coverage because of current geopolitical tensions. News outlets focus on conflict, not history. Culture, not archaeology. A significant discovery in Egypt might get coverage because Egypt is associated with pyramids and Tutankhamun. Saudi Arabia? Most people don't associate it with archaeology, so there's no built-in interest. Finally, the research was published in specialized academic journals. Full analysis is still ongoing. The team is being careful about claims and waiting for peer review. By the time research makes it through academic publication and becomes available for popular media to cover, it's old news from a news cycle perspective. So it falls through the cracks. Which is exactly why I make these videos, because important discoveries that don't fit the news cycle still deserve to be known. The good news is that excavation at Qaryat al-Fāw is ongoing. The 2024 findings I've talked about are just the latest in a multi-year project. Large sections of the site haven't been excavated yet. Satellite imagery suggests there are additional warehouse complexes, residential areas, and possibly even a port facility if the theories about ancient river systems are correct. The team has plans for DNA analysis of human remains to understand population diversity, complete mapping of the water management system, chemical analysis of all recovered trade goods, reconstruction of ancient climate conditions, and study of administrative documents and inscriptions. Each of these research directions could yield discoveries as significant as what we already know. There's also growing interest in excavating similar sites along other ancient trade routes, sites in Yemen, Oman, Jordan, Iraq, all potentially major trade centers that could provide more information about how these networks operated. We might be at the beginning of a whole new understanding of ancient global economics. Interestingly, the region is once again becoming a major trade hub. The Belt and Road Initiative, new shipping routes, Middle Eastern logistics centers, the same geographic advantages that made Qaryat al-Fāw important 2,000 years ago, sitting at the junction of Asia, Africa, and Europe, are relevant again today. History echoing itself. So that's the story of the 2024 discovery that mainstream media ignored. A massive trading city in the Arabian desert that proves ancient global trade was far more sophisticated than anyone thought. Standardized measures, financial instruments, quality controls, international cooperation, supply chains spanning continents. 2,000 years ago, merchants were solving the same logistics problems that Amazon deals with today. They were moving goods across thousands of miles, coordinating between different political systems, managing complex financial transactions, and they did it without computers, without GPS, without modern communication. Just knowledge, skill, and incredibly sophisticated organization. This discovery should make us rethink our assumptions about primitive ancient economies. It should make us respect the capabilities of people working without modern technology. And it should remind us that globalization isn't new. Humans have been building international trading networks for thousands of years. The excavation at Qaryat al-Fāw continues. More discoveries are coming. Our understanding of ancient trade will keep evolving. And I'll keep covering it, because this is the kind of story that deserves attention, even if mainstream media won't give it the coverage it deserves. If you found this interesting, let me know in the comments. If you want more deep dives into archaeological discoveries that didn't get proper coverage, subscribe. And if you know of other significant discoveries that flew under the radar, tell me. That's exactly the kind of story this channel exists to cover. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and remember, the most important discoveries aren't always the ones that make headlines. Sometimes, they're buried in academic journals, waiting for someone to show us why they matter. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.